on mic.
Cool. I think it started.
Hello, everyone. This is Rocco Pisto, president of the Michigan Watercolor Society. And welcome to another installation of Art Talk. And this month we have with us Shanley Carlton. She's with CultureVerse, and it's a nonprofit organization in Ann Arbor and Detroit as well that works with artists looking to build their virtual space or gallery space, or just finding other ways to help artists expand their brand and get more exposed. So Shanley, it's all yours.
Thank you. I feel like sometimes what we do can be complicated to say, and I thought you did a very good job of saying it. So thank you for being so eloquent. I'm Shanley. I'm the digital creative lead at CultureVerse, and we have our executive director on the call too, Aubrey Martinson. Initially, I thought that I wasn't sure who else would be joining, so I was thinking that I would introduce what CultureVerse does, because we have a variety of different tools that we use to help artists, and then go into a virtual gallery building workshop, which I still want to do, but I'm thinking since we have Aubrey on, she is a better talker than I am, and I think she could do a better job of describing what CultureVerse is from a very high level. And I can kind of poke around here on our website, Aubrey, to show them things as you talk. But if you're comfortable doing that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, anytime. I'm always happy to say anything on the spot. Yeah, so CultureVerse, I think Rocco, I'm glad this is recorded, because that was a very eloquent introduction of who we are. And at the core of what we do at CultureVerse is we explore what happens when we provide tools to artists who are very creative, very innovative, and we see what happens. And one of the tools you're going to learn about today is Saganworks, and it's creating a virtual gallery, and it's very simple. It's easy to use, and you can do a lot of different things with it, and the opportunities are kind of endless there. We also have other tools like 3D scanners, the scanner that we use to scan Rocco's gallery, as well as scan objects. Yeah, so yeah, Shanley's showing you the scan we did of Rocco's gallery is with a Matterport a camera, which is essentially, you might see it if you've been house shopping or something like that. And we're using it to create virtual tours of art spaces that aren't necessarily accessible to the public. And this one has been fleshed out not only with the images of the studio, but also with information about the art, because we want people to not just see the art, we want them to understand what it is that they're looking at, and understand what the artist is hoping to communicate. What else should we show them, Shanley?
Yeah, I was just thinking. So I think the scanning, I showed you an example of scanning a place. We don't have great examples yet on our website of scanning objects, but that is a core part of what we do as well. And there was a few projects that have been in the making for about a year that will come live on our website. So keep a lookout for all of our new projects, because we have a ton of stuff that we haven't even published yet that will be coming your way. And if I have time at the end, I can pull up some of our scans that we've done of ceramic art pieces. So 3D artworks, and we also scan cultural artifacts. So sometimes it's really old instruments or marionette puppets. There's a diversity of things that we scan and we find ourselves partnering with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you said it really well. And yeah, we just joyfully explore technology. That's something that Aubrey said before, and I really like it. Because sometimes what we do can be very experimental. There's an organization in Ann Arbor that some of you may know of called Embracing Our Differences. They actually have a gallery opening today at 1 actually right now, an outside installation, not really a gallery, but an outside installation. They're doing an opening reception right now at 1 p.m. at Gallup Park. And then I think they're taking like buses to the different locations, but just an idea of like sometimes how it can be very experimental. They wanted us, we created a virtual gallery for them, but then they also wanted us to scan their outdoor space. And our place scanner is intended for like the insides of buildings, but we were like, we'll give it a try. We can see if we can kind of hack it and see if, we can use this scanner to create the experience that you're looking for. And so we went out last week and took a few different scanners and came up with a couple different like solutions and showed them what we had. And we're like, this isn't really the solution we were looking for, but like, here's where we're at. And so sometimes it's like, yeah, it's like an iterative process, and our organization is really comfortable with that. So,
and I guess I'm not going to stay for the whole workshop. I just wanted to pop in and say hi and say thank you to Shanley for leading it, and to Rocco and Vicky for hosting. And then to all of you, just thank you for trying something new today with us. And I hope that it is something that sparks your curiosity and a new way of thinking about how to display your artwork. And then just let Shanley and I know if you have any questions about really anything you learned today, or about our organization in general. And yeah, we've got a gallery space in Ann Arbor, as Rocco said, and we host exhibits from time to time. So we hope you'll consider joining us. And again, just thank you for being adventurous and trying something new today.
Well, I'll tell you, the exciting thing for me was the technology that you guys bring to the table, and the price point is zero to artists at this point. I don't know how you do it, but is it too good to be true? But it is true, and you guys have done a great job with our gallery, and I know you've got some surprises for us for the 75th exhibition as well. But yeah, let's kind of talk through the process a little bit.
Okay.
Right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have fun with Shanley.
Thank you for joining, everybody. Bye. Did everyone get this PDF of like how to build a virtual gallery? Did we email that out, Rocco and Vicky?
I think we sent the link to this.
It was different, Rocco.
Was it?
Yeah, it was kind of a marketing video.
Do you want me to, okay, let me just take a second here, and I'm gonna re-email this to Rocco. Actually, can I attach a file on Zoom? Because I'd like you to have it. So
Yeah,
that
I think you can attach it
to the chat, maybe.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm doing it. Okay.
And we'll attach it to the recording as well.
Okay. Yeah, it might automatically attach. It's being recorded. I don't know. Okay.
There it is.
There it is. Cool. That was way easier than I thought. So you can follow along with this. It's just something to kind of look at as I.
Shanley, I'm not sure if it's you or someone else. There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I'd recommend that everybody mute.
I'm going to do it for us, maybe. Let's see. I got it here. I'll mute. And everyone's
It might be you. Try muting just for a second.
Okay.
It looks like Donna might be unmuted.
Oh,
That's it. It was done.
That was it. Okay. Sorry, Donna. Sorry to call you out. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was noticing that too, but I wasn't sure where it was coming from. All right. So this is it might take you a second to download it, I'm not sure, but I put this together actually for this workshop. But I'm hoping that we can use it in the future. So it's supposed to make it seem, not super scary, and it really isn't that challenging to do. it does have an interface. The virtual gallery has a similar interface to like a video game. And so I know when I started building these, I didn't have any video gaming experience. So for the people around me that did have that experience, they took to it a little bit easier, I think, just because they were used to that environment. But it didn't take long for me to get accustomed to it. So the things you'll need, you will want, if you are on a computer, that's preferred. You can build on your phone. But for the purposes of this workshop, I'm just going to go through the computer piece. It becomes a little easier to move things around with a mouse than it does on your phone, but phone is a really good experience too. We'll create a free Saganworks account. So yeah, like Rocco said, CultureVerse charges nothing for our services. Saganworks, they have they're still working out, I think, what they will charge in the future, but they're the kind of stuff that we're doing today, from what I understand, will always be free. So this is a free account. And then digitized versions of your art. So I'm hoping you may, and for the purposes of the workshop, not have that, or you might, but you can use any like image file that you have to play around if you do follow along. And then you might find that it's a little challenging if you don't have good Wi-Fi, because loading into like the graphic interface requires just like download of data. And I have probably like middle of the line internet, and I do fine. But if you have really slow internet, which I happen to know Rocco and Vicky's situation, that it might be a little more challenging.
But it worked.
But it did. Okay, so if it worked for them, then it should work for anyone. You may want to close other applications, just because it's like, it's taxing to like your memory. And so like your computer is just trying to load up like what looks like the real world, but like on your computer. So it's gonna, if you reduce the number of applications, it should run better. I'd like for us to build in Chrome or Firefox today. And I did link to where you could download either of these browsers if you don't already have them. I know most people have Chrome. Plug in your computer. Mine's plugged in. It also helps things run better. A lot of people like using a mouse. I use a trackpad. So we're going to start with start creating a free account. So I'm just going to click the link in the PDF and go ahead and fill this out. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'm just making a unique account. This is a hack, just so you know, but if you have a Google email, you can sign up for all kinds of things at different unique email addresses that all point back to your same Google account by putting this @ sign and then whatever you want. But that's not why you're here today, but it is a thing. All right. So I'm just creating a simple password. Check these 2 boxes. So now this part is where it'll take, it might take a second to load in, because now it's loading in the virtual assets. It looks like, so this program starts you out in this like top-down view, which can be a little confusing if you're not familiar with it. I'm not going to hang out in this view very long. I'm just going to double click this and see what this is. This looks like they give you they give you a default room to start out, and it's got some frames, it's got some furniture. Yeah, so you know what? I don't like this room, so I'm gonna leave. I clicked like a map icon to leave. And there's like a ton of different types of environments that you can actually add to your map to be able to build in. And I think this loft space, so I just clicked and dragged. I think it's cooler. So I'm actually gonna just start out here. While that's loading. All right, cool. So we did that part, the pick a space. So I dragged out a space that I liked. It's this loft Sagan. So if you want to be in the same environment as me. That's what I picked. And then when you want to load in, you just double click it. But just to give you an idea of the different types of spaces. So there's like this modern gallery space, there's like a barn space, there's an outdoor space, there's like an even lower lit loft. So we at CultureVerse, we sometimes create custom experiences for artists. We did that with Mike Hahn for our last gallery, our last like show. We created a Korean Hanuk, which there's a picture of it on our website. Let me just, I'll take a second and just show it to you really quick. I don't think the actual space, which the spaces in the app Saganworks are called Sagans. That's just what they call them. But the virtual rooms, I don't think the virtual room is on our website yet, but this is just a picture of what it looked like. So this is his art hanging, and you can walk around this like traditional Korean structure. So something, if none of the default environments look how you want, there are opportunities. They just are require more of a like an application process to work with the CultureVerse team, because it's a lot of resources to create something like this. But that is a thing that we do, as well as create custom spaces for artists. So here's the room that I picked. So there's lots of ways to start in uploading your art. There is, okay, so I'll show you a less magical way, and then I'll show you a more magical way. So I click the light bulb on the left, and then the upload button, and it's telling me that I can select or drag files into this little upload area. I'm pretty familiar with this kind of uploader. If you ever use like Google Drive or something, it's very similar. So I'm going to use some of the images from the upcoming 75th gallery, and I'm going to bring in this Civil War reenactment. So I dragged it in, it appeared down here, close out of here. You can refresh this, this little like menu. So this icon here will be like a default icon until it can generate like a representative image and actually upload the image to the cloud. Kind of like anything takes time to upload to a cloud drive. I'm just gonna bring it out. We'll see how long it takes this to load, but it should load with the actual image. And I'm gonna try, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to, oops, I'm gonna bring this one in, hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this into the space, and this time I'm just gonna click and drag and drop it. Okay, that seemed to work better, and I'm not sure why, but both are viable ways to get these images into the space. So now this is another piece from the 75th. This is a little more magical way, especially because this one doesn't seem to be working, not very magical. But yeah, you can basically just drag and drop. I keep double clicking these because they're uploaded to my like iCloud, and I need to download them before I drop them in. But here they are. And then I'll show you something else fun. Do we have any questions so far about this? Mary?
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I played with this a little before, and like you are a life. Well, anyway, can you resize them to match?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can. So like, and right, because these aren't going to be the actual sizes. This perspective of being in a room with this size can be like a little misleading. Some people really like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is cool, yeah. But the way you resize it, so there's a slider on the right. So let me do some other basics. I guess I didn't really go through how to move around, and let me take a second to do that, and then I'll show how to resize. So the way you navigate the space is you click and drag to move your head around. Then from there, you can click the floor anywhere. It'll take you places. So click, drag, turn around, then teleport by clicking the floor. You can also just click an image. So like, let's click this one. It'll center you, which is cool. And then from here, I'll show you another way to move around, because when you're in this position, it's kind of awkward. Well, I just clicked and dragged. It wasn't that awkward. But the way I would typically move away from this image in this software is you can click the arrow keys on your keyboard, and then that moves you. So those are the main types of navigation. You can also use W, A, S, and D on your keyboard. That's like a gaming convention for some people who are like right-handed or are used to using like a mouse in the right hand. You can use your left hand with W, A, S, and D to move around. So those are a few different options to move. And then the reason I wanted to go through that is because in order to resize an object, you have to long click it so that it's highlighted in blue. So it's different than like if I single click really short, it just takes me there. If I long click, like I really want to do something with it, then you see the slider on the right and you just click and drag. And there's actually a way if you just click double, or let's see, maybe it's single click. Let me just see it. You can type into this. Okay, double click the like ball here on the right. It has a number. So if I had everything set to like a certain height, I might make things like all 1. Don't ask me what the unit is. I think it's just like, I don't know, but if you're trying to make things the same size, you can do that by typing into this. You can also duplicate. So say you wanted more of these and maybe you want it. So the way I did that is I just clicked this button on the right. It's like 2 overlapping rectangles with a plus sign. So I can do it again. Now I have 3 of these. So maybe I make one that's larger than life and then one that's accurately sized. We can make it tiny. And then we can, I'm just going to hold this down and click my delete button on my keyboard and now that's gone. So this is, yeah, how to resize it. Did that answer your question, Mary?
It did. So I'm often trying to put small pictures with large, so it's the relative size to each other. By using, you can convert an image to inches, so that you can set a size. So that's what I was curious about. But at least I can resize here, which I didn't figure out before. I can play with it.
Okay, yeah, I think because I don't even know, like that doesn't correlate to inches in this case, but let me just type 1 here.
Yeah, it's just a relative. Okay.
Yeah, let's see, wait.
Well, that helps.
So I
anyway.
think it's making you, I think 1 means its longest dimension is this length in the space. So that's why when I did 1, it sized it here. So these would line up, these 2.
Huh.
Okay. I'll show you another. Oh, sorry, Rocco.
I was going to say, you'll show them that they can tag these images with titles, dimensions, pricing, anything you want to talk about, so people can kind of click on it and or click on the tag that's with the painting and get all the relevant information.
Yes, I can. I don't think I had that in my PDF, but I can go through that. There's a few different ways to do that, so I think I'll save that till the end.
Right.
But I'll start. So I was going to show some other fun things. Let me see what I had next before in this. Oh, okay. So next on this PDF, it doesn't need to be an image. It doesn't need to just be an image. There's ways to add websites, which is kind of cool. You can also add audio. So you could talk about a piece and you can attach the audio to a piece. You can add video to these spaces, text and labels, which is what Rocco was talking about. And you can also add 3D objects, but that is, I won't go through all of these today. I'll just focus on images. There are, if you have questions about any of these, you can always just reach out to me. 3D objects are currently a manual process where you would need to reach out to someone from the CultureVerse team, and then we could work to scan something and have it processed to be able to be put into Saganworks, because Saganworks currently doesn't have a converter. I don't know how many of you have a 3D scan or a 3D file that you would potentially want in the space, but that definitely is a possibility. It's just not as easy as dragging and dropping like the images.
Could be an
yeah.
image of a 3D.
And yes, you could totally bring in an image of a 3D object. Yes, true. All right, so furniture. So this is fun, and this will be cool because I can show you frames which are related to the pieces on the wall. All right, so there's this button that has a chair on it, and it opens a library of like 400 objects. And you can search in this top portion. So I'm gonna bring in like a table. There's different styles. You can find like mid-century stuff. You can find more rustic stuff. So kind of like set the mood of the space and like speak to your brand. There's also rugs. I don't personally like the rug selection all that much. So I typically create my own rugs by finding rugs, going shopping, online shopping, and then saving the images of the rugs online and then bringing them and putting them on the floor. And you can trick people into just looking like their rugs. So that's how I get very expensive rugs for no money. And yeah. All right, so there's a rug. And then I was going to show you frames. This is like a newer thing in Saganworks, but there are frames and they have different aspect ratios. So for this one I think will do well for this piece, the one on the blueberries. So if I hold this and I drag it in, it kind of snaps. And then now it's framed, I can resize it. And then there's some cool things that you can do with frames. So while it's selected, I can actually go into this like editor and I can make it lit, which is cool. I can change the color of the frame. So this I think is this is the matting, and then this is the frame color. So maybe I do blue for the frame. But some other cool ways to, also inexpensive ways to frame your pieces. Yes, Mary.
Glow in the dark.
Yeah. I said, how did you get to the frame part? Did you?
I went to the furniture and I typed in frame, and you'll see that there's like,
yeah,
like this isn't a frame. What are you doing at your table?
I just meant, yeah, the way you were able to change the color and stuff. I missed.
Oh, that part. Okay, so you drag
Yes.
it out, and then let's put in. Oh, this is kind of a weird frame. Okay, let's put in this one into this frame because it's not the correct aspect ratio, and we can play around with that. So now this is in there. I click this edit. See this like settings icon? Click that, and then this changes the color. This changes the backlit thing, and it also lets you change, so you could shift its position in the frame. I don't find that super useful, but you might. You can also zoom, but like no one wants to crop off their piece. So there are things that you can do, but I usually just use this for toggling the backlit. And then you can change the color of the matting. Oh, this one, you can't change the color of the frame at exterior. It looks like it's because it's like a metal thin piece, but the last one I used had two options, one for the matting and another one for the frame.
We only allow white mats.
Oh, okay. Here we go. It's kind of a sad white. Oh, no. Okay. All right, so that's how you frame. Let me go back to this. Oh, another thing you might choose to do is add seating. So there's lots of like seating options. There's like this one couch that I really like. It's also fancier than I would buy in my real life, but love to put it in a virtual space. So it's just kind of a cool couch. But the way you can use furniture in these spaces, it does create more of an immersive experience, and you get to be an interior designer, but it also like pulls attention towards the pieces that you want, people to focus on, because it's kind of like sit yourself down. Yeah, and there's lots of other options of furniture. And so then from here, once you've created something, there's a share icon in the top right. And this lets you can turn on the ability to share by a link. So you can turn it on. And then you can just click copy, and then you can send that to anyone, and they don't need an account to view it. And you can share that on Facebook. Yeah, so that's how you share the link. And then there also is a way, but if you were ever interested in doing it, you would need to reach out to somebody from the CultureVerse team, because it requires like a different level of permissions that Saganworks lets us access for our partners. So we just do it on a partner by partner basis, but I have no problem doing it for anyone who's interested in doing it. But basically you can upgrade the account so that it lets you generate an embed code. Or you could just ask me, I guess, for the code and I could send it to you. But I'll show you what an example of an embedded space looks like. So this is a virtual space for embracing our differences. And this is on our website. So it's a little like portal basically into this room. And you, instead of a play button on a video where it's just static, it changes like to red on YouTube, it like rotates and it says enter. And then it'll load. And it might be a little slow because I'm on this call and I have another space open, but yeah, so this is a space that we built, and this is just like on this website. So if you wanted to put the space on your website and you could have 100 different galleries, you know, like this is a great way to archive your work too. You can just embed these.
So yeah, you can kind of create your, your 2022 show or your 2021 show, and keep them as, like you said, in archival mode, so that, for you can kind of keep track of work, and without waiting for a solo exhibition, you have one on your own website. And so I'm all about archiving artwork and keeping track of what you've done, from a productivity standpoint. As an artist, we always want to be productive. And this is a great way to actually see the work that you can share with your audience. And again, you can click on this page on your website, post it on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, and it'll bring people back to your website. So it'll get you more play on your website and get people used to coming there. So
I'm gonna close out of this space. I think that we'll have a lot of time for questions at the end. The last thing I wanted to show was some examples of some different spaces that we've helped build for artists or artists have built for themselves. So like this example on the bottom left, the artist built for themselves. And then this exhibit up here, we built for Peter Sparling. And then we built this exhibit for Jason Johnson. And then he's built other virtual spaces since then to showcase his photography. But this is just kind of an idea of like, and these are 3D pieces that have pictures that represent them. So there are, that's definitely an option. But this just gives you some inspiration. And then
I was going to say, what's interesting is that in this illusionary space, you can make your paintings look 5 feet by 6 feet or 10 feet. I mean, you're looking like you're at a Jackson Pollock of your own work because it's huge. And it may encourage people to want to paint bigger, because you can buy watercolor paper by the roll and it's, 45 inches by 10 yards long. So it's always good to work big if you can from time to time.
Yeah, that's feedback I've gotten too, and I know watercolor specifically as a medium, I think the pieces tend to be smaller. And so seeing them in these galleries, yeah, it is like a cool new experience when you get to easily just like resize them. You take hours and hours of labor and you just slide that thing up. So I was gonna say there's like other resources in here. There's lots of online help for Saganworks. There's like all kinds of resources for how to build and add websites and all kinds of stuff. So I didn't cover something today. I know Rocco brought up labeling though, so I thought if I'll take just questions, and then if we have time, I can just show that part of the software. Do you have any questions right now related to the stuff we've talked about?
You know, if there's no questions, just feedback about what you've seen. Walda, go ahead. Oh, that's right. I got to unmute you guys. Sorry. I'm asking you to unmute, so you may see something pop up on your computer. There you go. Let's see.
Also, feel free to use the chat too. You can send questions that way and I can read them out.
Okay, Mary, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm so excited because I've been looking for this software for about 2 years.
Oh, really?
One, just to help me as I was preparing to do shows, to lay them out ahead of time. So I try to do them in PowerPoint, which is, you know, it is what it is. But I just had a paper due. Why was creating a virtual artist for school at Eastern. Submitted it. I ended up having to use, looked at this, that wouldn't cost me my total life's pay. Anyway, the day after I got the notice from Rocco that the software was available, and I was so excited. So I wrote my instructor, because they didn't even know, Eastern wasn't aware of this. Gallery director, he said, no, he just kind of wings it. So there's a great need for it, and I'm excited. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm surprised at Eastern, because we haven't worked with that director, but Jason Ferguson, he's a professor. Okay, so we've been working with Jason. He does a lot like with scanning and 3D modeling.
Right.
So we're on that side of things, but I know Jason at least knows about the software. And then who else?
I talked to Greg Tom, but he's the gallery director, and he didn't know of it, or so anyway.
Maybe I should let them know. Yeah, even if you want to send me an email, maybe I'll start a conversation with him.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you know, I imagine professors are knee deep in doing what they've done for years. And I've gone up to people and go, do you have a website? How do you promote yourself? And, you know, the feedback is not much.
Yeah.
And, you know, they'll get into an occasional gallery or show, but they're not out there marketing themselves. So, Sue, we were saying, I know you came in late. Did this stir any kind of interest?
Oh, I am just amazed at this. The opportunities and where it could take your art is wow.
Great. Good answer. I'll be paying you guys after, so.
Yeah, we've found I have no partiality to really any of the tools that we have. Some are just good for different things. So you don't have to say nice things about this tool on my behalf. This is just one of the tools that we use. But I do think it can be very powerful. And there's the fact that it's free. And our organization has like a strategic partnership and are able to get these like custom spaces and 3D objects into the space, which we can't do with any other software. So that's like a key component. And the ability to dream up spaces that don't exist or replicate spaces in real life. Those are both wonderful aspects of the software. And then also it's just like really easy to make something cool. Like even, I mean, this room isn't that cool. Here, I'm gonna delete this because that image didn't load. But like, you know, like it wouldn't take me that much time to like kind of put together a space I was proud enough to share. Because like just like putting your art in a space or framing it just elevates it like without having to do much else, I think.
Yeah. Walda?
Oh, more technology. I just figured out a new printer. This is, whoa. Boy, oh boy. But I have a website and I need to do something more with it. And this is exciting. Yes, this gives me ideas.
Cool. What kind do you know who your provider is for the site?
For my website?
Yeah, is it like through Squarespace?
No, it's FASO.
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 Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. If you ever want, so if you ever do want to like embed this on your website, then and I didn't come into this role with a ton of like coding knowledge, but it's actually very simple. But once you've done it once, you can do it many times. But basically, it's like a piece of code that you put into your web editor. So I know how it works for Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress. Those are three other pretty popular providers. But there's usually a space that says like custom code or has two little carrots that you can like paste code into. And that's if you ever wanted to embed this like on your site, that's how you would do it. But that can be something that like, you know, later down the road when you're ready for that, you can reach out to me and I can help you with it.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah, I've been following these tools for probably 20 years because they've been looking at it from in the computer space where you could, I mean, we did something like this, I'd say 4 years ago, where you created a convention setting and you can go into different rooms and you had avatars. In other words, you could create your own persona and you're walking into a room with 10 other people. You can face them, you can talk to them. But I think for artists, this is a great way to, you know, before I moved here to Ann Arbor, I was working in my basement and I could never see my artwork. You know, I had to bring it upstairs, get it into natural light and just kind of get a feel. Is it done? Does it need something? And here you could just take your digital images, kind of create a space and see what it would look like in a space. But and it's not as complicated. Now you're seeing this for the first time and there's a lot of whiz bang, but once you do it once or twice, I mean, Vicky's been doing ours and she's gotten through it, right?
It has been much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. So, and again, she's computer literate. Yeah, obviously, knows
Yeah,
how.
but I'm not anything special.
Yeah.
I know how to use a cell phone and I know how to use an iPad. And if you can do those two things, you can do this.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great endorsement. I need to tell the Saganworks team that because they'll be very happy. But like they've been working on this software for probably over 4 years now, and there's been many iterations to get to the point that they're at. So happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Shanley, do you do usability testing with artists or?
That's a great question. So we've kind of, Saganworks, yeah, let's see. So sometimes we do test, like there's a project that I've worked on in the CultureVerse team, because sometimes these experiences, especially if they're like an exhibit, like say for a museum, they can be more complicated, lots of information, a little more overwhelming to the person visiting. And so I guess that's usability on the viewer end more than usability on the builder end. But we tested with that so that we can make improvements because they have an audience that they want to be able to easily share things with. And so that has been something, you know, it hasn't been like a service in our list of services that we like just offer, like we do scanning or build like custom building these. But it's a really good point because yeah, say you've built something and you want feedback, maybe, yeah, I could certainly set up a usability test with, you know, a stranger to see like, you know, how they view your gallery. But okay, so I'm answering the question, but I think only 50% because you really meant usability for you as the builder.
No,
and
both are good points, but yeah, I am as a builder.
They they are, yeah, I don't think that Saganworks has been doing a lot of that. We're kind of one of their customers in a way, like we use the tool a lot. So we give them feedback on things that we like and don't like.
Yeah.
But they really don't have at this time, they're a pretty small team and they don't have like anyone dedicated to just that. They have a lot of people who have experience in like the video game world, and the video game world has its own set of like usability. It's like different because, you know, like on a 2D web page, there might be like, yeah, there's like lots of like design pieces that go into making sure that somebody who might be like colorblind can like, you know, clearly read the font. And in the video game world, it's like a little bit like honestly a little bit lawless, but it's very different. It's just like when you get into these 3D virtual spaces, it's not as cut and dry as 2D.
Right. Yeah, I was a developer my career. So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but if I don't mean to dominate, but I would love to see labels if there's time.
Yeah. Okay. So show you the easiest one. There's a button that has these little pieces of paper on the left, and there's a like sticky note, a wall label, and a document. And I'll just show you those because they're really easy and visible. So I just drag it out and I'm like, this is art. So I think in terms of editing right now, they haven't really introduced a lot of customization, which is why it's not my favorite way of labeling, because this font's like, and like maybe I don't want it to be black. But this is one way to label. Then the way that Rocco was kind of, I think, describing the way you would add text that goes with this image. Well, first, the title of the image is, let me click it. So I click see info. So there's this eye that happens and it automatically pulls the title that I've given it and shows that as the title on the see info. And then if you wanted to add a description, the way you would do that, you can't, the editor doesn't let you do it in this view. It's like a little bit more complicated, which is kind of why I was thinking I'd save it till the end. But you go to the light bulb, you go to this upload, it actually shows you everything that's in your cloud drive. So like these are the 3 images I've uploaded today. And from here, you can click edit and there's a place for description. So I could put, this is not probably true, but 6 foot by 6 foot. And you could say watercolor. And then click save. And then I'm not sure if this will I might have to refresh the whole thing for it to show up. Let's just see. Oh, wait. Oops.
It showed up as like a little bubble on ours, but that was on the scan. That was on the scanned version. Where you're
yes, right.
That was
For
different.
Scanned version was easier to maintain, I thought.
yeah, the scan. So the contrast between those 2 tools here, let me refresh this to see if we can get the info to pop up. So the cool thing about scanning is you can scan a gallery space in like 45 minutes. I think that's how long it took us to scan Rocco's. And then the interface with that software is very easy to use. And like Vicki was saying, you can like just add these like tags to things, and it's the tags snap to surfaces, it's a little dot, you can add info. That's one tool, but it's not editable in the same way that this tool is. Like if you wanted to change out the pieces in that gallery, you wouldn't be able to do that, versus this tool, I can move this around, I can, you know, delete things. So I'm just gonna see if this, okay, so the way that the description works here, so someone would click the image, there's a see info, they click the eye, and then this is the description. There's lots of space for you to write a very elaborate description. But you can also attach audio. So I won't have time to cover that, but if you wanted to attach audio to your piece, you talking about it, then somebody clicking this there'd also be a play button that would appear, and then you could push play and then hear your audio. So that's kind of cool. Those are two different ways. And then a third way of creating labels that I find useful is I've created labels in like PowerPoint, Adobe XD or Illustrator, and like designed them exactly how I wanted them, and then just brought them in as images and resized them to be a little bit smaller than the piece. And then you can really be creative if you do it that way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? I think we're good, Shanley. This was awesome. And again, you know, we're using the tool, so it meant it has a lot of meaning for us. And I didn't know if you could show where we are in the 75th
Yeah.
as a
that's-
sample.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're going to try to. They've created a virtual environment for our 75th annual exhibition. We gave them all the images to do that with. And we made have that running at the Hannah Center and at K-Rod Gallery on one of their screens. But here's an example of these paintings that now are, you know, 8 feet by 10 feet.
Oh, but they're beautiful. Look how beautiful.
And you're able to just walk around the gallery and look, you know, at the specific show. So we'll be using this for people that can't come to the gallery, you know, after the reception, and giving them another opportunity. And what we're finding is that if artists are comfortable with this, they're going to share it. Just like, you know, I'm not sure if you saw on my Facebook page, we had Detroit Public TV come in and interview some of our artists, and that's going to be, I think if everything goes right, it's going to be shown on the 23rd at 7:30.
Yeah.
Where they talk about Michigan Watercolor 75th and interviewing some of the artists and the history behind it. So just another way to market. So no, that's great. So if you want more information, the recording will be sent to you along with any other documentation that Shanley wants me to share with you. And so again, thanks for attending. You guys are the brave ones that didn't want to be outside today. And but like I said, I got a number of requests for the recording, and I'll be putting it on our MWCS YouTube channel for that. So I may have to start creating an art talk section of YouTube within subchapter once I figure that out. But thanks everyone for attending. Shanley, thanks to you and your executive director for participating today and giving us another interesting art talk. Just before we end, I just want to let everybody know our catalog is in the house. And if you submitted work for the exhibition, whether you got in or not, make sure to pick up your catalog at the reception. And the poster, the poster that we've been using this year to commemorate the 75th, we've made sure that we've got one for everyone that entered the show. So make sure you pick that up. And Nabucco will probably have a checklist, or Vicky, and to make sure that, you know, everyone gets one before the rest. We don't have a lot of the posters. It's kind of expensive, but we try to make sure we had one for every one of the artists. And just another reminder, our next event after the reception on the 4th, I think it's the 15th. We've got pull it up here. June 15th, we have a art exchange event. So if you're familiar with that or not familiar with it, it's basically we get together, bring in a work in progress piece or something you want critiqued on. And, you know, it's all like-minded individuals sharing their thoughts. It's a practice that I'm bringing back from the 80s, where I was a part of that with Michigan Watercolor. Usually we would go from house to house every month or so, bring a piece, bring a dish, and we just have lively art conversation with our professors and students and just people cranking out work. It's going to be on the 15th at 1 p.m. at the Stamos Gallery Center, which is at University of Michigan in Dearborn at the, I forget how to pronounce that, Minogian, not Minogian, but it's in the library. And if you're familiar with Electra Stamlos, she was about 20 years older than I was, but she got her MFA at the same time at Eastern. And her and her husband donated their whole collection to U of M Dearborn, and they built a gallery for them. So they have their art collection. The money that was donated as well created a gallery on the main floor of the library. And I remember when they were going through this process, and they said, we want to create a home for Michigan artists, and I'm definitely taking advantage of that for Michigan Watercolor. So. Again, we have a critique session there on the 15th of June. And for those of you that are signature or Great Lakes fellow members, we're going to have a signature show in this gallery in 2023. So more to come on that. With that, I wish you a happy day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I take a screenshot of everyone?
Yes,
and our social
absolutely.
media?
How about the thumbs up?
Okay, you can do a thumbs up if you want. Don't make me pressure you. Okay, I'm gonna smile too. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect.
Your hair is fine, Megan. In fact, I should do this as well, just so that I've got it print screen. Okay, I'm good. That way I've got it for the next one. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Cool.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.